Hey everybody, how you doing? I hope you're well. What I'm about to read to you is based on this post that I wrote over at Oakland News Now. This one that you can see where I got the face from USA Today, the photograph, and the title is "Josh McDaniels Will Fail as
that
Las Vegas."
you can see where I got the face from USA Today, the photograph, and the title is "Josh McDaniels Will Fail
as Las Vegas Raiders coach due to Sin City factor. And I'm going to start off by reading to you what I wrote at Oakland News Now, word for word, and we'll go from there. And I'm keeping one eye on the game as well. Welcome to my world, Raider Nation, and I'm happy you're here. Let's get right to it. First, my commentary that I wrote, and I'm going to read to you right now. And with that, thus, Josh McDaniels, the New England Patriots Offensive Coordinator, who many, including himself, expect to be hired by the Las Vegas Raiders managing general partner Mark Davis as the head coach. If that is the case, Mark Davis will prove he's learned nothing from his failed move to bring a name after his failed move to bring a name head coach, Jon Gruden, back, and is poised to repeat the mistake with Josh McDaniels. The simple reason is that, like Gruden, there is no concrete proof. And I'm going to say this, I look at you, there's no concrete proof. And I'll repeat, there is no concrete proof. I'll say it one more time. There is no concrete proof that McDaniels will produce a better record than the man who should have the job, Rich Bisaccia. Moreover, there is enough evidence for Raider Nation to fear that Josh McDaniels will bring nothing but losing seasons and turmoil. The trouble is, Mark Davis is thinking that because he's got the Raiders in Las Vegas, he's got to feed the casino sponsors a famous name to be a head coach. Of all the current coaching candidates, there's no better known name than Josh McDaniels, and one equally known name Davis doesn't seem to want, but others think makes sense. Jim Harbaugh. But that doesn't make Josh McDaniels the best candidate, and his track record with players is one of discord and drama. Add in the backdrop of Las Vegas, and we've got potentially more trouble than in 2021. Riddle me this. Name the players Josh McDaniels had run-ins with when he was head coach before. Let's see. There's wide receiver Brandon Marshall, wide receiver Aaron Dobson, and pretty much any player that cries for more playing time. The idea that Josh McDaniels can go to Las Vegas and coach and get the best out of the Raiders' ultra-talented players, given his track record of pissing off and not understanding young star and particularly black NFL stars, is troublesome. It also gives more value to USA Today columnist Jared Bell's claims of racist media bias against black coaches. And now I'm referring to his past stints, McDaniels, as head coach, in addition to his time as the Pats offensive coordinator. And let's get to that right now. Tom Brady took Josh McDaniels' soul to Tampa Bay and left him in New England. There's this crazy idea that Josh McDaniels is some kind of quarterback whisperer. In other words, that he can make Derek Carr even better than what Jon Gruden and Greg Olsen did. So if that's the case, then the New England Patriots stats in the after Tom era should reflect that, right? In other words, the time when Tom Brady was no longer New England Patriots quarterback, but Josh McDaniels was still offensive coordinator, right? Well, let's look at that. If Josh McDaniels is good at NFL offense without Tom Brady, why did his Pats rank 15th in 2021, 27th in 2020, and 15th in 2019? It's a question. Now, what did Josh McDaniels do with Tom Brady? In other words, what was the record? Well, the New England Patriots were 5th in 2018, number 1 in 2017, 4th in 2016, and 6th in 2015, and then 11th in 2014, 7th in 2013, number 1 in 2012, 2nd in 2011, 8th in 2010, 3rd in 2009, 5th in 2008, and 1st in 2007 when they almost ran the table, and 11th in 2006, the first year of McDaniels' tenure as offensive coordinator after he was elevated as quarterback coach. And also, I must add that 2006 was the same year that Coach Belichick sent McDaniels down to study the Urban Meyer and spread offense, and then came back and drew up arguably the greatest offense ever drawn up, and then never used it again. That was 2007. I have a powerful obsession with the 2007 New England Patriots offense, a powerful one. Let me continue, and then I'll get to your questions. Meanwhile, Tom Brady went to Tampa and ranked 7th in 2020 and then 3rd in 2021, a slight downgrade from Jameis Winston's 3rd ranking in 2019. But that was due to Brady's requested ball-controlled passing play installations. The change landed the Bucs a Super Bowl Lombardi trophy. The point I'm making is this. Josh McDaniels is nothing without Tom Brady, and the record proves it. Mark Davis is clearly mistaking Coach McDaniels for his boss, Bill Belichick, and it's time to wake up and smell the coffee. Josh McDaniels is not some quarterback whisperer, and I can make an argument that Byron Leftwich is, given that he's coached both Jameis Winston and Tom Brady to record-setting levels in offensive designs not his own. And then there was a switch from the Bill Walsh offense to the Perkins-Erhardt offense. It's a fair bet that extremely few realize, including you watching right now, that with Josh McDaniels, the Raiders will switch from the Bill Walsh system, which is used by Bill Musgrave and then, of course, Greg Olson, to the New England Patriots Perkins-Erhardt system. This will make the first really true offensive change in the Derek Carr era. The difference is that the Raiders quarterbacks will have to learn a new terminology and a new way of thinking about football offense that's essentially modular. In other words, plays come where concepts like receiver pattern combinations have names rather than just individual patterns called out. And Derek Carr will have to remember them. The X factor is in how long it takes Carr to adjust. My question is, why have him do that? Why? The Raiders offense was never the real problem, folks. It was always the Raiders defense. Okay? The idea of bringing in Josh McDaniels to focus on the offense is completely nuts. Completely nuts. Josh McDaniels is no replacement for Mr. Bisaccia, who gets, Mr. Bisaccia does, Coach Bisaccia does, how to deal with Raiders players in Las Vegas. Mark Davis is making a giant mistake. I am really concerned that the Las Vegas antics of 2021 will spill over into 2022 under Josh McDaniels, unlike the great work of Mr. Bisaccia, who got the Raiders into the playoffs, which is the bar now, right? Okay. In the worst football managerial weather one could see, Josh McDaniels not only lacks any comparable experience. You cannot point to me anything that Josh McDaniels has done that equates to that situation. Nothing. Nothing. Okay? Nothing at all. Nothing. Nothing. Josh McDaniels not only lacks comparable experience in that situation, but massively failed in dealing with players who have addiction and mental illness problems. Just say no to Josh McDaniels. It's not too late to change and drop the idea of bringing him to Las Vegas. Stay tuned. And I'm sticking to that. Now I'll get to your questions. Let's see here. Who are you with hired? Jack Bauer, how are you doing? First of all, I would have kept Rich. And I would have kept Rich because, first of all, he took over as interim head coach and immediately provided a steady hand, a quiet, reasoned voice in the locker room who was able to apply just the right amount of control and then just the right amount of freedom. He was an adult. He didn't seek to be the personality that was known to the TV cameras. He didn't seek attentions. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, being an attention seeker, okay? But I know me. My point is, a person like Rich came in at the right time when that kind of personality was needed. He got them to the playoffs. The only mistake that I hold that they made was all but junking Jon Gruden's one-step passing system, because what happened was that as the season wore on and the wear and tear on the body increased, what happened very simply was that the Raiders under Olsen and Bisaccia were calling deeper patterns, requiring more time of the offensive linemen who were already exhausted from season wear and tear. What they should have done was activate the one steps where you don't hold the blocks as much, created at least 10 new variations of them. I actually sent them a version of my playbook, which they did use a play, a formation. I'm not going to veer off on that for this because that's not the intent, but they did, which means they were searching for something. And they thought that I had something that was a good idea to try. At any rate, my point is that I believe that Coach Bisaccia and Mike Mayock in place, and then given Mark Davis should have said, hey, look, I want you to have your charges write business plans for each of your areas of corporate responsibility as coaches, your position areas. Discuss what went right and what went wrong and how to fix what went wrong. The Raiders do not have a sound managerial approach. I repeat, the Raiders in Las Vegas do not have a sound football managerial approach. Too much of their decision-making is Mark Davis's angels and devils on his shoulders. You cannot expect success like that for one specific reason. You can't easily diagnose it. It becomes luck because he's making changes that have no basis in logic. Your head coach, interim, got your guys to the playoffs under circumstances where your star wide receiver was jailed. You had a number of DUI problems. You had a star draft pick who seems to have an inordinately weird love for guns. Well, had because he's gone. And there's undoubted you had another player who decided he was going to come out as gay. You had all of that in one season and more. There are other things that we don't know about. Those are just things we know about, you and I, okay? Rich Bisaccia took all of that and smooth sailing. And so everybody, and anybody with at least a little bit of logic to apply to the running of a football team would say, you know what? You got something good there. You need to just simply dust them off, hone and refine what they did, correct what was done wrong, emphasize what was done right, and load up for season 2022. But oh no, Mark Davis didn't do that. And the question has to be why? It isn't just a matter of, well, I saw Josh McDaniels, because Josh McDaniels has one word in his lexicon that fits. It's called turmoil. And anybody who have to say, as people have said this morning, well, he's more mature now. Excuse me. More mature, how do you know? He hasn't been in Rich Bisaccia's shoes. And guess what? Coach Bisaccia never, all right, get this. Coach Bisaccia, okay, was never given full credit for how he handled this situation. The best credit is park him, make him the head coach. McDaniels has evidence where he has not handled such situations properly when they were 1/20th the severity of what the Raiders went through last season. 1/20th. So you're going to come back here and basically, just because really a lot of you, some of you, not all of you, but some of you respond just because Mark made that decision. So what? Yeah, I know it's Mark's team. He has the right to do what he wants to do, but it doesn't mean I have to go with it, along with it. And this is absolutely nuts. It's not personal toward Josh McDaniels. It's only business, the business of wanting to produce a football organization that works. And the Raiders are not doing that with the way Mark is running it. He is the direct opposite of how Dallas Cowboys owner Clint Murchison, Tex Schramm as managerial head and president, Gil Brandt and Tom Landry ran the Cowboys. There's no mystery why they were called the IBM of the NFL at the time. Why, when they lined up for that famous photograph at the now destroyed Texas Stadium, they were called the Mount Rushmores of football managerial excellence. It wasn't because of their success. It was the little things that they did. I was at the Cowboys offices when I was 16 years old because I had a question about how the flex defense worked that they then invited me to the office to really learn about. And I did. They gave me 6 reels of film. Dallas defense versus the I formation 1, Dallas defense versus the I formation 2, flex strong quality control, flex weak quality control, Dallas defense reel 1, Dallas defense reel 2. Okay? I know what the flex defense playbook looks like. It's only 30 pages, folks. It's not complicated. But that's the whole point. The Cowboys understood that you give players a few instructions and then you branch off from there as the season goes along. Okay? Mark Davis needs to keep himself out of the decision-making of the Raiders. He needs to rely on, well, perhaps a managerial consulting organization. But in this instance, he had the best coaching staff the Raiders have ever had in their history, given what they went through, and he just tossed them out of the door. So Jack Bauer, you asked me who I would have hired. Keep him. You went to the damn playoffs, okay? You went to the damn playoffs. Period, okay? It's not a matter of overanalyzing anything. Let me get back to your questions or points, okay? But it's not a matter of overanalyzing anything. This is nuts. Let me get to all right, Jack. Then Josh McDaniels has 6 Super Bowl rings. So what? This is the dumbest comment I've ever seen. And I'm not saying you're dumb. You can make some smart ones, but that's stupid. You know what? That's just like saying, let me focus on this. All right. So under this logic, I should hire, okay, the New England Patriots head cheerleading dancing instructor. Why? Because she has 6 Super Bowl rings. That's what you wrote. Look. Put your thinking cap on and stop. This is what you get when someone reacts with pure emotion and not thought. I have thought first, then I react emotionally based on what I study. Okay? So I came loaded for bear. You didn't. You're reacting to me. You're not reacting to the logic or illogic of what was done. And therefore, when you do that, what do? You set yourself up for writing stuff that makes no sense whatsoever. Under this logic, I can pick up anybody in the Patriots organization and say, well, they've got 6 Super Bowl rings. And this is what I'm getting to. This is how our country has lowered its standards. We don't think about how a person got to what they got or did. We just look at the result because it's something that we saw online, and we repeat it without thought. That's what this is. Eric says, I wanted Harbaugh, Brian Flores. I'm willing to give Josh a chance, but also not liking the hire. I'm not willing. There's no reason to change. And Eric, the reason why I blast this too is because, look, the Raiders had something good. Leave it alone. They just got in the playoffs. You know what now? What is everyone going to say when the Raiders don't make the playoffs under Josh McDaniels in 2022? Huh? I mean, there's nothing you can do. You say you're going to be a fan? You're being a fan of mediocrity and ego, because that's what drives how Mark runs the organization. I really wish he'd stop doing that. He doesn't need to make it all about him. And yet that's what he's doing. And I'm saying this as a friend. You know, real friends tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Because a lot of people was just, blowing smoke up his you-know-what because they want to curry favor with him. I don't care. This is a screw-up of massive proportions. I answered this. I would keep Rich Bisaccia in the coaching staff. They did a virtuoso job just getting the Raiders to the playoffs under the conditions they were in. They deserve, as a reward, the chance to coach the organization under smooth ground, under smooth sailing, now that they know the Las Vegas ropes. But here you're bringing in a guy who has no clue how the Las Vegas culture works and how it activates an athlete, and you expect him to excel. Oh, excuse me, because he has 6 Super Bowl rings. Ooh, give me a break. Mac Jones this good? No, he didn't. Mac Jones could have been anybody else under Belichick. But the simple fact of the matter is that the Patriots offense was only ranked, 15th at best. This was the Patriots. The Patriots got to the game and they got their blank handed to them. Don't rubber stamp something just because somebody else did it. Doesn't mean you have to. Have the courage to go away from it, okay? All right? Okay. Joseph Amanduras. I did a Twitter poll. 56% of 110 so says they'll roll with the decision. 26.9 are deeply disappointed by the hiring of Josh McDaniels. Okay. Polls don't sway me. I don't care. I don't care what anybody says. I'm not swaying based on what anyone says. A lot of people have no idea what's happening anyway. Most of the people that are involved in this, including those people who make this decision, if they were put to the responsibility of having to design a play and explain it to an audience in a room and then make it work on the field, could not do it. I have developed plays since I was 16 years old at Skyline High School. The first play that I ever drew up that was ran by the Titans went for 36 yards and a touchdown against Fremont High. Okay? There's a reason why Jon Gruden had Will Kiss wait for me when I was at the Orlando NFL owners meeting, because I had a play idea. So I don't just come from some place in Alpha Centauri. I love football. I love football strategy, and I believe in a mathematically based feedback and control theory designed approach. But what's happened in today's NFL is people who are the analysts are the ones that get the coffee into the Gophers. That was not the case when Ermal Allen was a Dallas Cowboys quality control guy. He was a full-on coach, Coach Allen. It wasn't a case when the Cowboys were pioneering computerized scouting and analysis in the 70s and 80s. This crap burns me. This is wholly anti-intellectual. This is just, well, I've got a title so I can do what I want to. Oh, brother. I come from a managerial professional era where we used mathematics and microeconomics and we applied them to problems in management. That's something I was interested in when I was 6 blanking years old. Do you hear what I'm talking about? I am tired of this crap. You think you're running a football team. You are not running a football team. You're playing around. You have a multi-billion dollar organization just playing around. That's all you're doing. Coster, if we would kept Roach, yes, absolutely. And again, because what happens is in order to understand what went wrong. You have to know where the problems were and then say, and this is where I'm talking about getting the coaches to write their own business plans. Write a plan for what they did, what was wrong, and how to fix it, as opposed to what went right. I'll bet you the Raiders have never had their coaches do that. At an end of the year plan, a business plan, and then the CEO of the organization, which is the head coach, takes those plans and then forms a new plan based on what his charges wrote. Because you have a way forward. This is why I don't like defenses where, like, Nanakum Suh basically was freelancing with the Bucks. Well, that's bad. We may need to change. You need to talk with him and then possibly trade him. And here's why. You don't want someone that's not going to fix your defense with you in the cold confines of a planning room or a Zoom room. And whether they're going to do it on their own, if out there on the field at a specific down and distance time you didn't plan, and so you didn't know what he was going to do. So suddenly there's this coin flip that what he did, which you're not aware of, either worked or didn't, and you don't know why. Okay? That's stupid. So that was bad for Nanakum to do that. But it's allowed because the coaches do not have a system for evaluating what players do within a framework of a scheme, and then having it recorded and calculated so you can keep statistical results. That's the way you run a football team. I am tired of this stuff. You hear me? I'm tired of it. And someone ought to get pissed off about it. I'm massively pissed off about this stuff. It's like the bar owners took over. It could be worse. Your coach could be right. I think I needed to laugh. Yeah, there you go. Nice one, peanut butter. Interim head coaches rarely work out. Jay Boogie, how you doing? This one did. Okay. Eric says, I would have kept Bisaccia anyway, but I'm not going to ride, and it makes no sense getting mad at it. That's you. I'm mad. I don't care. Peter, hey, Zinni, I'm not a Josh fan, by the way. I am not against Josh McDaniels. This is not personal. This is the business of the Raiders. I'm happy to be wrong, okay? I hope Coach McDaniels sees all of this, which is really the intent, and says, I'm going to prove this guy wrong. Cool. Because proving me wrong would mean what? It would mean, among other things, it would mean at the ultimate Lombardi trophy, at the ultimate playoff appearance, at the ultimate better performance than the previous year. So from that measure, I am delighted to be wrong. What I'm doing is I'm taking a wood stick, putting gasoline on it, lighting a match in a fire, and I'm putting it under your rear end and I'm saying, get with it. That's the collective organization. This is about doing it right. Okay? And can I do it better? You're damn straight I can. The Raiders' last team president they had, Mark Bourdain, told me, hey, I'm not a football guy. And I like Mark. He said this to me at the Conrad in 2017 during the NFL owners meetings where we were dealing with the protest stories, right? And the quite rightly angry African-American players who were upset about the way the NFL was handling things at the time. But I digress. I'm simply saying I was there, went to Mark for a statement about, and actually, what I was doing is I was sharing with Mark an idea I had for how to get better yards out of Marshawn Lynch. I felt that the offensive line splits were too narrow, and they need to be adjusted by roughly 3 inches per player. And before I could get all that out, he said, oh, football. That's a football question. I don't do that. Well, he didn't say I don't do that, but he basically said something like that. He's the business guy. The Raiders need a president gets both. You want that, you hire me. Okay? I'm just explaining to you what I'm thinking about. All right. Then we go on, but I have nothing against Josh Daniels. Nothing. This is not about Josh Daniels. This is nothing personal. It's only business. My question: if Carr considers himself a franchise quarterback, will his agent allow him to play in a 1-year contract? I don't know the answer to that question. And the Raiders have made Derek Carr a franchise quarterback, but the Raiders have put Derek Carr in a situation that is ugly because, you know what, he's going to have to learn a whole new way of thinking about football. Well, not whole new. There are aspects of what McDaniels will teach him that are similar to what he learned under Gruden. But that terminology and that modular concept way of thinking, which actually I think is kind of cool, is something that Derek, you know, because look, let me put it this way. What's been my model for offenses other than the multiple offense of the Cowboys? Okay. What has it been? It has been quite simply. Hey, Joseph, I'm going to do this solo. I don't want to share time. Because I'm too pissed off and I might say the wrong thing. So, okay. So not right now. I might change my mind in the next few seconds. Just let me get this out of my mind. At any rate, my point is that the Raiders have made Derek Carr a franchise quarterback. It's not a matter of what he considers himself one. They made him that. But again, in this situation, I don't think Marcus realizes this. Mark might think he's doing Derek a favor. I think he's doing Derek a disservice because Derek has to actually learn new terminology and a new approach for nothing. The current one needs to be tweaked. The Raiders need a championship defense. The offense really is fine. Okay. All right. He says, I mean, we can overanalyze this until we are all blue, says a whatever. But in the end of the day, the decision has been made and Mark Davis made his choice despite the whispers and rumors. I don't care. It's not going to stop me from chirping. So, he says, I will fully support the hire. Well, what am I going to do? Call the National Guard, say go to the Raider headquarters and throw them out? I mean, come on. AS says, I will support this hire. I hope we do good things. I know he's got a crazy track record, and I know he has a losing record as a head coach. But Denver, come on, Raider Nation till I die. Raider Nation till I die doesn't mean I have to accept everything that Mark does. I don't accept this. Okay? Period, end of story. Period, end of story. Sorry, I'm not a rubber stamper. Peanut Butter says, Mark Davis is the poorest NFL owner for a reason. Actually, he's not. And the reason why he's not is because of that gleaming. You really know Mark Davis is not the poorest NFL owner. Take this down and take that idea out of your head and take them words out of your mouth. Here's the reason. That gleaming, beautiful Legion Stadium is basically owned by the Raiders and paid for and managed really by Clark County. Legion Stadium is the end result of something that then NFL executive vice president of properties told me when I was at the Houston NFL owners meeting fall of 2016. And he said, and I asked him, I said, hey, wait a minute, you know, the Raiders are basically going to be in a situation where they don't own Las Vegas Stadium, because that's what it was called initially, right? And Eric very calmly said, Zinni, what if I own the revenue stream? In other words, let me put it to you in brass tacks. The event organizers come to my facility. Contractually, the Raiders, manage the events or bring in the events. Really what we do is we contract with AEG to handle it, right? But we get the lion's share of the payments the event organizer pays to use our facility. Sure, Clark County owns it, but the revenue stream for the events is basically ours. That's what Eric was talking about. And that dynamic has made Mark Davis a very rich man. So take that down. Okay? That's not true. We either support the team or go root for winners. BS. I have my view. You don't like it? Tough. It's all good not to agree at the end of the day. If you want to be, no. You want to, no. You know what? And this is what, hey, Eric, first of all, You vlog with me, okay? But I'm not going to have you in the house doing this sort of thing. Okay? That's not right. You can say that on your own video channel and all that. But I don't want anybody close to me who's going to do that. Let me say this, okay? That's not a good thing. So you need to like rethink this. I don't mind being, well, you know, maybe I'm coming off a bit too. Yeah, I am, okay? I don't like the hire. I'm a fan of good NFL teams ran well. I'm not a fan of bad decisions. I don't back them, especially when I know how to make good ones. So, no. Godfather says, this coaching hire potentially be reminiscent of Lane Kiffin. No, I don't think it's like Lane Kiffin at all. This is its own animal because it's Las Vegas. All right. All right. So that is all of those. And what I'll do, since I've, you know, so thoroughly pissed off so many people, including people who are part of the shareholding flock, I will, in the waning moments here, do just that. I'll change my mind, Joseph. There you go. There's the invite. And everybody else, I changed my mind. Link here. There it is. Okay, so there you are. So you can come in if you wish to do so. It's there. All right. What's next? Let's see here. My bad. No, you didn't do anything wrong. I'm just pissed. Maybe I am pissed. All right. Low IQ decisions. Yes, this is exactly what I'm talking about. It says we could have had Harbaugh. Now the Vikings probably will get him, and they will be winning while we, the Raiders, still be using excuses. Now, you know the best coach that the Vikings should hire is Jim Caldwell. Jim Caldwell coached the Lions to a winning record and then got fired because he's black, which is something else too. This stuff's got to stop. The mighty Joseph Almendares.
Hey, Zanny, how are you?
I'm pissed.
Well, you know, I'm not happy either, but I love your passion. You know, no one, at least on my end, I'm not disappointed and angry with your rants because I'm upset too. But, you know, I don't know why. I knew this was going to happen. I was disappointed, extremely disappointed. But this calmness overcame me. I don't know why. Because I felt the way you were feeling yesterday. Because I thought, this is, you know, I was on the fence with Jim Harbaugh. But when this started to come up with the fact that Josh McDaniels was going to be the leading candidate and every arrow was pointing that direction, I was extremely upset. And then I started reconsidering. I think I would want Jim Harbaugh more than I would Josh McDaniels for the same reasons you pointed out, right? Because it seemed like those two leading candidates were the candidates. I would have liked to see someone like possibly like Brian Dable, Todd Bowles, be one of the leading candidates. Even Eric Bieniemy, but a lot of people don't like Eric Bieniemy. But the fact that it was one of those two candidates, you know, I was really disappointed that it was Josh McDaniels.
Why is it so important to change?
I'm sorry, go ahead. I couldn't hear you.
Why is it so important to change?
Well, it's not. I mean, I like Bisaccia. I think one of the things going into this, you see how the Raiders, that passion that came out of them the last few games was impeccable. I mean, one of the things I thought moving forward, the move that Mark Davis or the upper management should have did was keep Bisaccia in place, bring in a new OC, and tweak that defense. I personally like Gus Bradley. I don't think he had enough quality players to do even a better job. I do think that 3-4 defense is more appropriate for what the Raiders were doing. But I really do think that keeping Bisaccia and keeping Gus Bradley would have been a great idea, and getting a new OC. you know me. I've criticized that play calling for. Go ahead.
Why even get rid of the OC? My point is, why not just keep everybody?
I don't like Greg Olson personally.
There's some feedback on your end. You have something open or anything?
No.
Okay, I don't know where that's coming from, but anyway, I don't know Greg Olson. I have no reason to dislike Greg Olson. This is not a personal thing. Way he parts his hair, or whatever, I can care less. He can go bald like me. My point is this: from a coldly statistical point of view, the Raiders improved dramatically. Derek Carr's performance improved dramatically in 2021 season. So no logical reason to change. The Raiders were in the playoffs. And so now, for reasons just because Mark wanted more, because let's face it, if we went to the Super Bowl, he wouldn't have done it, I don't think. I hope not. But for reasons best known to Mark, he decides to change it. And because the king decides to change it, we have to go along with it. And I don't go along with it. There's no logic to it. There's no demonstrative study. There's no reason for it. There's no plan. It's almost Joker-esque. I don't have a plan. I just do things. That's how it looks to me. And as a person who's been trained as a public management person, to apply microeconomics to the resolution of problems, to build businesses, even though I haven't necessarily done it all the time. I've done it. It just stinks. It stinks that a person feels like they can just sort of make decisions because they own a team. But hey, look, I get that. What also bothers me about this, Joseph, is the continuation of this underlying racism that comes along with us rubber stamping whatever Mark does, as opposed to asking the hard question, hey, do you have something issue with black folks running your organization or something? Because they might be the best qualified? Don't like it at all.
What can I say? I mean, overall, it's extremely.
You don't have to agree with me, but I'm just saying.
No, I mean, but I'm thinking, but like some of the, I would love to hear your perspective of who do you think would have been a better coaching decision. Of course, I don't think Josh McDaniels is the answer, personally.
But I keep saying, just keep Rich. You had it.
Well, yeah, to that degree. What I do believe, and one of the things that I always worry about with the Raiders, the constant change. Constant change. Because we already solidified this guy who just, like you mentioned before, and what's been said many times, is that he has really brought this team together under the unprecedented circumstances that have occurred throughout this whole season. I would keep moving in that direction, tweak this team as much as possible. Like I said, my whole thing was I didn't like the play calling even under Gruden. I thought he got that a little bit better under Greg Olson, but I don't think it's good enough. And so I thought personally a different OC would be the fix-all to this team. And of course, tweak the defense. And I still think Gus Bradley has it in him if we kept Gus Bradley to move into a 3-4 defense.
Cincinnati 23 Eagles, Chiefs 21.
Say it again.
Cincinnati 24, Chiefs 21 with a minute.
Yeah, I have that on right now. But the purpose of even me doing that Twitter poll was to kind of gauge people's reactions. And of course, it doesn't really mean much, but it was just out of curiosity. And it's interesting to see. It's the first time I ever put a poll up just to kind of gauge what Raider Nation was thinking. But one of the things that I think is that when I looked at that Twitter poll and I thought of some of the comments that I was getting, is that many of the respondents are that Z generation. Even going back for the generation, they don't understand the makeup, the chemistry of the Raiders, and how it's gotten to the point where it's gotten up to this point. And so the idea of me roll with it, getting 56%, tells me that a lot of people really don't understand the significance of this fire. It also tells me how there's a lot of kind of ambiguity, if not, the sentiment like, it is what it is. And
Yeah, I mean,
being a long Raider fan, it makes me upset that we're still always that bottom tier team, always stretching and reaching, trying to achieve, glory.
Yeah, it's I'm watching the Chiefs here. This is a close game. They're in field goal range though. All they have to do is kick to tie. At any rate, that's where they're at. Here's the thing. This is one thing I want to focus on. Pete said everyone has to stop with the keep rich talk. No, I'm not going to. We were not a playoff team in 2021. We made the playoffs. This is crazy. This is what? What are you talking about? We made the playoffs. Ask yourself, okay, what was the number one reason we got into the playoffs? Fans deny it, but the truth is COVID and the injuries. See, this is what I'm talking about illogic. Sorry, Pete, but this is illogical. I spent most of my time ranting about not having the proper managerial focus and the Raiders getting rid of what argued was their best football managers in their history. Why? Because they navigated, among other things, injuries and COVID. He just proved it, right? Right? He proves that I'm right. He proves that this is what Coach Bisaccia did. At the same time, he says, don't keep him. This is the kind of stuff that drives me nuts.
The one thing that the team was successful this past year was getting every player, including their third string players, ready to play. The next man up attitude. When someone fell, the other one moved up in its place, and everybody was coached good enough to play significantly and play an important role with the Raiders getting to the playoffs. We didn't have the best players. We know that. Zay Jones, as good as he did it with the Raiders, would be considered a third stringer, if not second stringer in other teams. We did miraculously with what we had.
Bengals just stopped 30-yard mark. Wow. It's a 44-yard return. He almost lost the ball. And if he misses the kick, the Bengals are going to the Super Bowl. We're going to overtime. What are you talking about? Sorry about that. No, yeah, and I agree with what you're saying. I really do. I think. All right. See, Peter says head coach who gave the players freedom. Actually, I don't think so. It wasn't Rich. It was actually Gruden. Under Gruden, which we had the problem. You think the Raiders just trying to figure it out? What do you think about that? My point is, Joseph, is that I think just as the Raiders figured out how to cope with the Las Vegas problem, Mark Davis decided to get rid of everybody. And with that, he didn't bottle up what they learned. I mean, little things like how to deal with the police under these certain circumstances, the court system. The Raiders have gotten rid of a lot of people. And when you do that, you get rid of institutional memory that in a number of cases is really valuable. I can't think of a more valuable situation or set of situations than what the Raiders went through last season. To make a wholesale change after all that, I'm going to say it again. It's stupid. It really is. It might sound unkind, but again, it's not personal toward Mark himself. If you want to see somebody do better, you have to apply a little tough love or a lot. This is it. Okay.
And from an outside perspective, when you start analyzing, looking into some of these decisions, it looks like there's a lot of yes men in the Raider organization that just want to bow down to Mark Davis.
Right.
And so I think that's the big problem.
It is. Mark brings that on because, he loves to talk football, but when it comes to decisions, he doesn't want you overruling him.
He doesn't want conflict.
Right. He doesn't want criticism.
Yeah.
He can handle conflict. Mark can handle conflict if it's in his favor. Okay. But he doesn't want you criticizing. And he's got to. And see, here's the problem. Mark has put himself in those situations rather than taking the Clint Murchison role, which is, you know what, I'm going to sit back. I got this. I'm going to let my professional people deal with it. But Mark makes these decisions, and then in his way, he makes it about you having an opinion about what he thinks is him. In my case, it's not about him. It's about, I have a lot of reasons to actually like Mark Davis personally. Okay? That's not what this is. This is about wanting the Raiders to hoist multiple Super Bowl trophies. And about my feeling that they had the coaching staff to do that. Maybe you didn't know the names, so what? But guess what, folks? You don't have to know the names. What you have to know is when to tell when a football team is being ran correctly. If I were team president, the first thing I'd do, Joseph, I'd ask if we're paying our bill. The second thing that I do is, hey, you know what? What outstanding legal issues do we have? There are some. You deal with the little brass tax things. You need to cut payments to save money in certain areas? Then do it. Do you need to meet with the government? Do we have a government affairs representative? Hire one. This is about running an organization. And I don't get the sense that Mark is really letting that happen. I'm delighted to be wrong. My spider sense is tingling, and my spider sense says I'm not wrong. This is about wanting the success of the organization. I thought would be better in Oakland, but the one thing that I didn't realize is the Raiders are a market unto themselves, and they take that market where they go. Right?
Yeah, I mean, look how successful they were, at least with the Raider fans everywhere they went. Los Angeles still loves the Raiders. Oakland will always be the Raiders' home, and now we have Vegas.
Yep.
There's something unique about this team that's unlike any other team. Not because we're Raider fans, but you see it. You see it. And so, when you talked about Mark and some of his decisions, the one thing that maybe you know him better than me, that's just a Raider fan, was I started thinking about, is there some kind of insecurity there? And to prove something, because we know how legendary his father was. And he has to live, and it's unfortunate for him, because he has to live to that mystique of his father, Al Davis, unfairly. But that's the facts. And then some of his decisions, I wonder, him not being able to accept criticism, I wonder if there's some insecurity there. Because I think those of us who are not insecure can take the criticism and learn from it.
I think this. Let's pick this up after those games. This is one of the overtime.
Okay.
And my mom's gonna want me to watching it with the income here. And I'll let that be the last commentary. We have a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
So I will. You stick around in the back.
Okay.
I'll make a new one. We'll be back after the second game. Is that cool with you, Joe?
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool. Okay. Stick around the back of your folks. Subscribe to Zenny63 and bookmark oaklandnewsnet.com. Wait a minute. Rich would never be able to compete against Andy Reid or the Bills coaches who would be bashing the NFL coaches who are losing to Aaron Coach. That's not true. Okay, look. The man posted a winning record. Raiders in the just because Josh McDaniels. There's some feedback here, brother. And thanks on your end, Joseph. But my point is, yeah, there you go. Okay, just because Josh McDaniels was the hire, it doesn't mean that you have to go and establish revisionist history and make ridiculous guesses about what you think Rich can and cannot do. Take the red pill. In other words, deal with the reality of the fact that he got the Raiders to the playoffs. That's it. And they really lost the game they should have won. Anyway, we'll be back. We'll see you.